Hello and welcome everyone to the 7th official episode of a Better Magic podcast. This is your Team Better Magic host, Jared, and I've got my buddy back, as always, Jeremy here on the line. Say hi, Jeremy.
Howdy, everybody.
Yeah, all right. So we've got a lot of interesting stuff to talk to you guys about. So Dragons of Tarkir is
Oh
officially
boy,
launching this month. How stoked are
we're
you,
going
Jeremy?
in. Oh, dude, like you don't even know my day today. It's been full of accomplishments.
Yeah, man, we got a ton of sweet stuff spoiled today. Today's the 4th, by the way, the day that we're recording this, just so you guys have some idea of the time frame here. But we got some really cool stuff to talk about today, so that's going to take up the majority of the podcast. I just want to get you guys ready for that. We'll do a crack-a-pack, which is going to be awesome. There's not a ton going on in the limited world, so we're not going to talk a lot about it because we spent some time on that. And as Fate Reforged Fate Reforged Khans of Tarkir starts to kind of fizzle out, we're going to get you guys prepped for Dragons of Tarkir. Man, it seemed like Fate Reforged, the time that we played limited with it and Khans of Tarkir was kind of short, huh? Like, was it just me or?
I mean, it was only like 8 weeks, right?
Yeah, I mean, it just didn't seem very long at all, so I don't
I
know.
mean, it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, we played it a lot.
Like
I
I
didn't
said,
like it, so
I drafted like maybe like 3 times with you guys.
yeah.
I think. I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't like it much. But anyway, so we're not going to talk about it. So there we go. Problem solved. Then we'll talk about a little bit about what's going on in Constructed. There's not a ton, I think, really going on in Standard, but we'll talk through, we watched the Star City Games Baltimore Open, which had a really interesting top 8, so I want to spend a little bit of time on that. And then we're going to jump right into some Dragons of Tarkir spoilers for you guys. We've had Team Better Magic guys go through and make some picks for us to talk about. Jeremy and I are going to talk about their implications in limited, standard constructed, and maybe which cards you need to kind of bust your wallet out to grab some copies of before they go insane. So are you ready, Jeremy?
Let's do this.
Let's do this. Okay, so to kick things off, man, you and I, Nick and I talked about it on the last podcast, but you and I are gearing up next week to go to GP Cleveland. How excited are you for that?
I'm super excited. I mean, like, I get a playmat, which I collect playmats. I get a promo Crystal brand, which, I mean, who doesn't want that?
Mm-hmm.
Go into a cube for sure. And then I get a deck box. I've always loved to get deck boxes.
Yeah, sometimes you don't at GPs. I mean, it's usually the one kind of the bonus throw-in that some of them have and some of them don't. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said a little bit ago, like, I don't know, man. I'm not super hot on this limited format. It's just not my thing. There's so much variance. Like, someone who isn't all that great can open up a Citadel Siege. Or, dude, I played a Magic Online sealed daily last week against a guy who, like, we made it all the way to the end. We were gonna go, 4-0, right? Like, we had an amazing deck. I can't exactly remember what it was, but I've got it somewhere. I can probably share in the notes after this. But the deck was great, right? And then we go up against, in the last round, against a guy who opened up 3 different sieges. Guy opens up Monastery Siege, Outpost Siege, and Citadel Siege, right? And a Sorin, by the way, and just totally wrecks us. And I don't know, that's basically just my experience with this format, and I'm kind of tired of it, but again, I'm still excited to go to Cleveland, and if we open a good pool, then we get there, and if we don't, we don't. So it's a bit of a coin flip, but, at least I get to hang with you guys, so that'll be fun.
Just leave it up to variance, man.
It is. I mean, that's Fate Reforged, so hopefully things change when Dragons of Tarkir rolls around. That's kind of the hope, man, is that it balances things out a little bit, especially in draft, right? Because the draft is weird, so it pivots. So used to in Fate, when Fate Reforged first launched, you drafted Khans, Fate Reforged, right? But when Dragons of Tarkir launches, you'll be drafting Dragons, Fate Reforged. So those crazy huge bombs, won't even be seen until the last pack, which means a lot of the time, no matter how good they are, it's still very difficult to splash like a Citadel Siege into your deck if you open it and it's pack 3, pick one, and you're in like Sultai. Like at that point, it's not nearly as good as it being like your first pick that sets your draft. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how the dynamic changes as we get these as we get these other packs into rotated into the limited format. So we'll see. We will see. So I'm super stoked. I think Dragons of Tarkir is really going to change things in a good way.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's already. I mean, just from the cards that. I mean, you can never really like figure out what's gonna happen to the meta until you see everything.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I mean, you can like pick out certain cards and just be like, this card seems like it's gonna do a lot. I mean, like obviously we'll get into that later, but I mean, one card can change everything. Obviously,
Yeah. I mean,
Jason Mindfucker.
Chase the Mind Sculptor. I mean, Siege Rhino even, right? I mean, of course, that was the beginnings of a format that we were starting to see kind of evolve, but it happens. I mean, we saw, like, back in the day, a good example was when Thragtusk came in the middle of nowhere, in a core set when everything was wide open and totally, shifted all the decks around because it was so format warping. So it's possible. And we've seen some really ridiculous cards today, so I'm
Yep.
super excited to jump into those. Let's do Let's do a crackback, Jeremy. You ready for that?
Let's do it.
I'm super stoked. Okay, so I won a couple packs the other night. I opened them up because I still have enough Fate Reforged packs. So we're going to open up this Fate Reforged pack, and this will be our last one, by the way. Our last one knowing that that Kanzatarkir was going to be in the limited pool. So this should be super exciting.
Yep.
All right. You ready?
Yeah, let's do this, man.
Oh, can you hear us opening that pack? Oh, yeah.
I can just hear the Ugin already.
Oh, what if it is? Oh, we can only hope.
What if it's a foil one?
Oh, a foil Ugin? Oh my god. I would sell it in a heartbeat. Okay. Here we go. Oh, I got sniff it.
That
Smells good.
Weird.
It smells good, dude. All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
Hooded Assassin.
Poop.
Poop. Don't forget, this is our last pack where we're actually going to be looking at a Kanzatarkir card. So, Hooded Assassin, poop. Aven Skirmisher.
Did I say poop already?
Yeah, you did.
So poop.
How would you feel about, what if the pack, I cannot in my mind construct a pack where Aven Skirmisher is the first pick, can you?
No, like I don't see how that guy is a first pick at all.
Ever. No.
Unless you just like flying, unless just like you like bird warriors.
Right, and you like losing at draft, then yeah, sure, take it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do it.
Lotus Path Jin, here we go.
Yeah, sounds like a print run that I've heard before already.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I like the guy a lot, though. Sultai Emissary, card's okay.
It's decent.
I don't know if I would first pick it, but...
No, I would never first pick that card, but I mean, like, it's like in the middle. I would take it like middle.
Yeah, he does a lot of trading, actually, interestingly enough. He trades with, like, I don't know, like Elmers and stuff, and then leaves a 2/2. Like I don't know, he's a built-in 2-for-1.
There's combos with him, like Merciless Executioner or crap like that.
I think the card's
Collateral
fine.
damage stuff.
Harsh Sustenance.
I don't know. I've come to not like that card.
Yeah, I don't like it nearly as much as I used to, unless you can just get the Black-White Warriors deck, which is probably the strongest archetype still.
Yeah, you beat me to it. I was going to say Black-White Warriors is like literally what that just is made for.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's like not good.
I think LSV said the other day something super smart. He's like, this is a card basically that with like a first pickable ability and like a not first pickable casting cost, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, and I was like, yeah, that's totally right. So that kind of puts that out of the running for me. What about Abzan Sky Captain?
I mean, I like it. It's not a first pick. I mean, like what were we talking about being a mid pick? The Sultai Emissary. I'd take the Sky Captain higher than the Emissary.
Sure. Yeah, they fill similar roles in your deck. Like they have other jobs to do than kill your opponent.
Yeah, I mean, like it kind of sucks if he dies and there's no other creature to bolster.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, he's a 2/2 flyer that can beat down.
Right.
But he does come out. He does come down at the same time as a Lotus Path Jin, which is
way better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gorswine. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I'm wishy-washy on that card. I mean, I like it, but at the same time, the one toughness is just like,
Like everything kills it. Literally everything kills it. But it turns on a lot of stuff, man. If you get the like red-green, red-blue deck.
Temur Battle Rage.
Yeah. I mean, it is turned on by Battle Rage.
Yep. It's turned on by them.
I don't. I don't think it's first pickable though, right? I mean, there's
It's
no.
never first
Yeah,
pickable.
I don't think that's even possible. Frontier Mastodon.
I do like that card. I mean, it's not an Alpine Grizzly, obviously, but it has the ability to become a bigger Alpine Grizzly. So, like
Sure.
later on in the game, if you got a stalemate and you got a guy that triggers his Ferocious, he
Yep.
becomes a 4/3, which he is bigger than Manifests and Morphs at the same time. So,
Mm,
he's, I mean, mid pick. He's not like a pack one, pick one, or like
right.
2 or 3. He's like middle.
I think he can have more upside than Grizzly sometimes. I don't know. It's interesting. But again, you have to set him up to be any good.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
like, but then you can also just play him as a 3/2 for 3
right.
still. I mean, you don't get the Grizzly effect out of him
Yeah, you don't
from just having a
immediately have
4/2.
Ferocious. Yeah.
But I mean, just sometimes he needs to be a 3/2 for 3. Like, if
Yeah.
you're on a beatdown path, you just drop this guy and go.
Yeah, he's fine. Um, Alesha's Vanguard.
Poop.
Yeah, I've actually never played with this card. It's one of those cards where like, and there's a lot of these in Fate Reforged for some reason, or this whole block so far for me. A lot of cards I would never play that beat me 10 or 20% of the time. So like, there's this. This is where you have to be decent and limited and not fall into the trap of results-oriented thinking, right? Because like, I get beaten by Molten Snake skins on Aven Skirmishers, right? But that doesn't make it good.
And that just makes it that you just didn't have the right card at the right time, so it
Right.
just variance beat you yet again.
Exactly, and same with this card, man. Every time I've seen a resolved or lost to it, it's because the rest of my game wasn't that great anyways, and then this just kind of cleaned up, and it doesn't make it good. Yeah,
No.
I don't like that card at all. Defiant Ogre. Nick and I joked about this last
Uh,
time.
card is utter trash.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna read that card. The card's a piece of trash. Um, Reality Shift.
I mean, it's removal. I mean, like, get rid of their bomb, make a 2/2 manifest.
Sure.
Like, that's, I mean, and then it also exiles it, so delve doesn't happen, I guess. But it's just like, I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like a Pongify or a Rapid
Mm,
Hybridization is just infinitely better than that card.
it would be. Yeah. No, I agree with you there.
But I could see what they were trying to do with it. Like, oh, they're
Yeah.
just trying to make. But then at the same time, you have the ability to manifest another creature, and then if it's a bomb, you have to deal with that one again. And
Yeah,
kind
I
of just
think
like,
I think Reality Shift is so high variance is why a lot of pros are down on it, and I don't necessarily like it either for that reason. But okay, so I'll keep it in the pack. We'll hold it. We'll talk about it in a second. But Fearsome Awakening. Do you know what that does?
yeah, it's the one. Bring a creature back from the graveyard to the battlefield, and if it's a dragon, put 2/1 counters on it.
Ugh, again, one of the cards that I don't think I would ever play, but I know I've been beaten by it at least twice.
I mean, like, I don't. I could see it being your 23rd card.
Sure.
Like, you have a couple of dragons in there. I don't know how you got
Do
them,
you
but
just count this card as like a 5-mana creature, basically?
yeah, I mean, like, if you lose your bomb and you just, like, your bomb's that big of a bomb, and you're just like, okay, Fearsome Awakening, I got my bomb again, and they use, like, say they have, like, only one removal for that card in their deck,
Yeah.
and then they used it, and then you just bring him back. I mean, and then if it's a dragon, it just happens to get even bigger. I mean,
Yeah, it
that
has
seems,
some interesting upside for sure, but it
yeah,
could
I mean,
just
like,
be.
it's not something that I'm gonna just be like, oh yeah, dude, I'm gonna pick this card. Like, if it comes to me at the very end or somewhere near the end where I'm just like getting shaft stuff, like,
Mhm.
yeah, I'll grab it and I'll put it to the side. And if my last like 3 cards, if I need to find something, like, yeah, I may think about putting that card in. But other than that,
Yeah.
it's not that great.
How often do you just play this though, and you're like, well, it's turn 5, or like I draw it. Like when you draw it later, it's actually okay, but like at the same time, I don't know. Like you have to have drawn your bomb, not won with your bomb. They had to have removed your bomb, and then you would have had to have drawn this card. You know what I mean?
Well, you don't have to bring back your bomb. I mean,
No,
that's
well,
just
but
like,
that's what I'm saying though. So then
well,
the other
that's
the
what
other
you
side
want
of
to
the
do
coin.
with. That's what you want to
Yeah,
do with it.
right. But the other side of the coin is like, okay, I've like thrown away a bunch of like 2/2s and 2/3s, and like maybe like a 3/4 or something, right? And then I don't know, you play this, and like most of the time, maybe your best thing to get back is like a 2/3. I don't know. I just feel like your targets aren't even that great most of the time, so
Well,
that's the
I
reason
mean,
I wouldn't play it.
it is in Fate Reforged. uh, Dragons of Tarkir is coming.
Yeah.
There's infinitely more dragons, So this card may see an uptick in how many people actually want to take it because of dragons actually being predominant in the draft
Yeah,
set.
that's totally true. I think that this is one to keep your eye on. As you're drafting, maybe the first time you even draft a Dragon's a Tarkir and you want to do some experimenting, keep an eye out for Fearsome Awakening. If you can play it in your deck that it plays black cards, especially black dragons, which there are going to be a lot of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it goes up in the pick order. That's interesting.
I mean,
But I don't think
you
it's
can
our
even
first
go
pick.
like you can even. Oh wait, there's not going to be any basic lands. Well, just from the Fate pack. Nah.
Right.
I mean, it'll be rough. I mean, like the three colors will probably become rough become a rough thing to play.
Yeah.
Like two color, like it used to be three, and now it's two. Like
Now
they
it's
kind of
probably
just
going to
like
be two colors, which was smart of them from a development standpoint. I mean, they knew they wanted to make it a different world and the way to do that was flavorfully, from a flavor perspective. Say all these clans don't really exist anymore. They're like dragon broods now that are all two color, which is great because then they didn't have to
yeah,
make more fixing and make it really awkward in the next pack, and it didn't make any sense for them to put like tricolor stuff in Feyre Forge and try to fix it both ways, because then like you said, Dragons was going to be a two-color set. So they were really really smart about it, but because of that, just aren't going to be very many.
I will finish this pack, but I got a question to ask about a certain card
Sure.
in Dragons after we finish this pack.
Sure. Okay. So anyways, that's not a pack one pick one. Fearsome Awakening is not. Um, Notorious. Noxious Dragon. Notorious Dragon sounds sweet though.
Notorious,
That'd be a
Notorious
sweet card.
DIG.
What about
Uh,
Noxious Dragon, man?
I like it. It's not bad. It's probably other than like Ward Scale Dragon, it's the best one out of them.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that. Yeah.
Oh wait, no, I got it. It's Notorious DRG for Dragon.
Notorious DRG. Yeah, dude.
It's the worst.
I don't know if a Noxious Dragon is a first pick though.
Oh, it's
over
not.
Lotus Path Jin, but I mean
No.
it's good. It's very good.
Blue's a lot more deep than
Yeah.
black.
Yeah, I mean black's pretty deep, but it's probably third after like blue and white. So, um, yeah, and plus it's double black. I just don't know if I'd take it over. It's just something solid like a Lotus Path Jin, but we'll keep it in the pack. So we've got a land, and it's a Dismal Backwater. We do not have a fetch land. All right, Jeremy, we got a mythic.
Oh, let's see what it's Ghastly Conscription, isn't
It's
it?
not Ghastly Conscription.
Is it Whispered Elemental?
No, it's your other favorite mythic.
Oh, is it Shaman of the Great Hunt?
No, it's not that one. It's your
Oh.
other. It's your other troll favorite mythic. The troll that Jeremy that lives under the bridge loves this mythic.
I don't know, man. You just gotta tell me.
It's Temporal Trespass.
Oh yes.
Oh my God, no! This
Oh,
card
Nick
is.
Summer's singing right now.
This is. Oh, this is the worst card of all time. So
Pack one, pick one.
this is not a pack one pick one. So what Temporal Trespass does? It's a mythic. It's 8 colorless mana. So let's start this one off. So 8 colorless mana, blue, blue, blue. You heard it here, folks. That is 11 mana to cast a sorcery. With Delve, so best case scenario, it costs you 3 blue mana. But you do get to take an extra turn after this one. And then you exile Temporal Trespass so you can't play it again with something like a Snapcaster Mage, right? But
No, yeah.
how do you feel about this card, Jeremy?
It's obviously not pack one, pick one.
No.
But I mean, if it comes to you later on in the pack and you're just like, dude, I'm just gonna take this, like, why not? Like, make it your 23rd card.
Make it your
If you can
24th card.
No. That's like saying, oh, hey, what positions did you play? Oh, left out. Yeah, good one. Make it your 23rd card
Oh God!
and just
no.
go for it.
Just don't
And then
do
you'll
that.
die the turn before you play it.
Yep, every single time you will die before you.
That's
play
what happened to us when we tried to do it.
it. Even if you resolve this card, right? Like if you get so far as to having that many delve cards, right, in your deck, right, and 3 blue mana, where like you could have just played anything else.
Hey,
Like you're
there's
probably
fixing, man.
losing anyway. So what? You know what I mean? Like what good does it do you to take another turn at that point? It just doesn't most of the time. Drawing you one more card was not worth getting to the point where you had to A, draw this card, and B, have enough resources to play it.
Okay, so if you're derping around, this card is the best thing for you because, one, you just get to take an extra turn.
Yes, you do.
That is it. You cast an 11 mana cost spell. You had to
Achievement
have
unlocked.
you had to have triple blue.
That's worth at
and-
least 300 achievement points. At
Dude,
least.
that's like you win the draft if you just cast it.
Yeah.
It should be like if you cast this card, you win the
Win
draft.
the game, yeah.
You
That'd
just-
be-
no, you
win
don't
the
win the game.
draft. You win
You
the
win the
whole
whole
draft. Yeah.
Whole
sure.
draft. You just like everybody else just automatically has to drop from
They
the
have to
tournament.
concede, yeah.
Yeah, they're just like he cast Temporal Trespass.
How
I
are we
lose.
gonna win? Yeah.
So you use Temporal Trespass to trespass into their mind and make them all drop.
Yes. I think you trespass through time, actually, not through their mind.
I don't believe so.
It is a temporal trespass, not like a cranial trespass.
You're a cream.
Cerebral trespass. Okay, so what's the pick here, Jeremy?
It's obviously Lotus Path Gym.
I think it is too. I think the second thing though is probably that Noxious Dragon or Reality
It-
Shift, right?
It was definitely the Noxus Dragon, and then it
Okay.
would be the reality. Okay, because you have to think about it. You pass away. Actually,
I don't know, man.
I mean, because you take the Gen pass. The Dragon's probably going next.
Sure. Yeah, I think so. I think that's right. And then a Reality Shift just for whoever wants it as some iffy removal, but
So, in my opinion, it's Gen, Dragon, and then Reality Shift.
yeah, I'm cool with that. I think that's fine. Yay, Jeremy! That was our last Favorite Forge with Cons pack ever. Buddy.
Okay, and now my question for you.
Yeah.
So, we've obviously know that Evolving Wilds exists in Dragons of Tarkir now.
Oh yes, it does.
How high of a pick do you value Evolving Wilds, seeing how it becomes the only fixing, as we know of right now, in Dragons of Tarkir?
That's not rare, probably. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's not rare.
That's a fantastic question. It depends on whether or not tricolor decks are going to be a thing. Like if dual color decks are a thing, then it's the same as like having Evolving Wilds in a core set, which happens a lot actually. They put Evolving Wilds in core sets like every single one.
Yeah.
Which isn't fair to say anymore because there's not going to be any more core sets. But you catch my drift. I mean they put them in core sets and nobody ever drafts them. Like literally they're there for the people who want to branch into a third color and make a third color splash. Which with the amount of bombs that are just game warping and just change games, turn them completely around in Fate Reforged. If you take at least one Evolving Wilds as a reasonable pick when you had probably nothing else in the pack in either of your Dragons of Tarkir decks, it makes it a lot easier to splash the ridiculous bombs from your last the last pack from Fate Reforged. So there's that to consider. I don't think you should ever pass one up if you have like no other playables. Like I said, just because you'll gain so many win percentage points on drafting an insane off-color bomb that you can splash because of it. But I probably wouldn't take him in the first 8 picks. I mean, in the first go around of packs, I probably am not going to take it. But I don't know. That's a fantastic question. That's a really, really good question.
I mean, it's also based off pure speculation that no other non-basic land will be printed in Dragons of Tarkir.
Yeah,
That's not a rare.
Right, yeah. They are going to have, though, part of the design file, if you go back and read Gottlieb's, his daily MTG article from, I think it was Tuesday of this week, he talks about some of the design elements that were actually requested of him in the big document they hand over and say, okay, design the set, this is all the things you have to do. And one of the requirements was actually to create some common mana rocks, I think. So some things that are like banners but not. That was actually in that design file. So I know we're getting those at some point, which might make something like an Evolving Wilds obsolete if they're good. If they're bad, then an Evolving Wilds actually becomes quite a bit better because you can take an Evolving Wilds over that mana rock, basically whenever you see them both in a pack, which is really interesting. It's a really interesting dynamic.
So when you say mana rock, do you mean like one that just taps for a single color, or do you think like we'll get like one like the ones from Ravnica that tap for like a double color?
It'll be a lot like Cluestones. Like it has to
Okay.
be, right? Because it'll be around the dragon clans.
Yeah, it would be allied instead of
yeah, correct.
no, it'd be enemy instead of allied, right?
I don't. That's a fantastic question. I mean, they're probably allied because all the clans are allied.
Yeah. You're right.
Um,
Oh,
they'll just do something different than Bluestones did, probably. That's my guess. I don't know. It's not spoiled yet, so who knows?
nope. It's just all it's out there.
Good questions, man. That was a cool pack. That was a really good question.
Yep.
Okay, so that's definitely enough limited. I mean, we've talked more about it than I even really wanted to, but that was a great pack. Good questions. Let's talk a little bit about what was going on in constructed. There's not a ton of stuff for us to talk about for standard. What is there really? I mean, other than
Not really. There's nothing really going on. And constructed is just the same right now. Nothing's really changed. No new like innovations have hit the board. I guess the one that I could say like that I've noticed is like the mono black humans deck. Like I
really.
saw, yeah, I played Monday night at a local shop, and a guy was playing with it, and he went 4-0 for the night, and it seemed like it did well. And I never got to play against him. I
Yeah.
never got to see it in action. But I mean, like if it goes 4-0 against like, and then I mean, like we have a good crowd that comes to this place,
Yeah.
and
It's just
like if it go,
roguish enough to probably slip through the cracks.
yeah, I mean, like it shocked me that it went 4-0. I mean, that's like the one standout thing I've seen. Other than that, it's just the normals. Like Red White still doing it.
Yeah.
Because Red White won the Premier IQ at Baltimore,
Oh, nice.
so for standard, so that won that. So I mean, it's like Red White's still there. It's still doing what it needs to do. It just wants somebody to. It's just sitting there waiting for somebody to dethrone it.
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, I played it the other night, last night, but I did. The one time I lost was to that mono black deck that you were talking about. It can be really difficult to overcome. There's this time where like he was just beating me down, and they get like Master of the Feast is really good for them. Basically, the first or the once they get to untap with it, essentially, and it was very difficult for me to race that deck. And we were in the third game, and he was just destroying me. And I had to 2-for-1 like burn spells to try and kill just a 5/5 flyer, right? And then he has like 1 mana up. I'm like, there's nothing, right? And then he boom of Erebos, and I was
Yeah.
just like, okay. I
Like
mean,
your main card for that is like you're chained to the rocks. Everything else you
yeah.
can just
I
burn.
even brought in a race because I knew I was losing
Yeah,
against those
it
cards,
is an
but
enchantment. You can erase it. Makes sense.
yeah. But anyways, I hear you. I definitely lost to that deck. Let's talk about the modern Open Star City Games Open that was in Baltimore over the weekend. I mean, that was interesting. I watched basically all of it, and
Yeah, so
there
did
were
I.
some cool decks there. You want to talk a little bit about kind of what we saw in the top 8, or even just like the
Yeah.
top 3 or 4?
First thing that popped out in top 8, obviously, was no Abzan. I mean
Yeah,
that mean you just wouldn't have thought about that.
that's
Like you just like,
crazy.
oh
Yeah, especially with the Pro Tour meta. That was like
yeah.
full of Abzan, and we didn't see
I mean
any in the
like
top 8.
if you went out of the top 8, there was like there's about a good like 3 or 4 of them. So I mean like
Okay, like top 16, yeah.
yeah, top 16 there was 3 of them.
Okay, that's fair, but
So, I
that's
mean
still
you
not a
can't,
very big representation compared to what we saw at the Pro Tour.
no, it's just like the one deck that still gets around them is it's just good old Swinner Twin.
Yeah, it's so funny because we actually saw in this top 8 Seth Manfield, who just went on a crazy run at the Pro Tour playing Burn. So basically mono red, that splashed some white for Lightning Helix, and he was on that deck, played it masterfully, did a very, very good job at it, and made it into the top 8. Even he essentially has become a Splinter Twin convert.
Yeah. It's one of those staple decks, and I hate for it to say that it's staple, but it's staple.
Yeah.
Like it's a deck that's overall. I mean, like it'll get the job done. If you're not killing them with the combo, you're killing them off of them being afraid of the combo, so you get to do other things.
Just
It's
attack
just
them. Yeah.
well, yeah. The fear of the combo makes them play around the combo, so they have to hold up stuff for it. So while they're holding up stuff for it, you're able to be doing other things freely.
Yeah, you're just flying over them in the air
And
and
then
smack them.
if they mess up for a second,
Yeah.
boom, you just combo them.
Yeah. It's a
And
good
it's
deck. I
just,
mean, it's resilient, has great counter spells. You sometimes just attack them with like Snapcaster Mages.
yeah.
And you just kill them.
Snapcaster Mages and Vidillion Clicks.
Vidillion clicks, yeah.
Pest Reminder, the ever so terrifying Deceiver XR
Deceiver.
keep
Yeah, I
going.
mean, some people win attacking with a 1-4. I mean, it's, they only have 20 life, so. But it's an interesting deck. But the deck that won, actually, wait, do you want to talk about the other deck first? Which one do you want to talk about, Jeremy? This will be you. You get to
I'll
pick.
talk about the 4-color control deck. I mean, because it's something that you just don't see a lot
Yeah.
because it was just one of those decks that I was like I was rooting for it. It ended up making it to the semifinals and then losing to Seth Manfield
Yeah.
against because Seth Manfield all he literally had to do was drop a Blood Moon and it was game
That
because
did
the deck
happen.
had the deck had like only a couple of basic lands, and the deck, I mean, like it just was like Blood Moon, and literally nothing could do anything anymore.
Yeah. Blood Moon's
I mean, but
insane
like
out of
it's
that
just like
board, yeah.
it's like one of those. It's just like it was an all around just like nice deck that you could play. Like it had every aspect of Jeskai control with a little bit of Grixis in there. I mean, like
Yeah.
had mystical teachings like Shadow of Doubt, which is hilarious. It's like, oh, fetch Shadow of Doubt, you don't get your land anymore.
Oh my god. Yeah, that card's fan-freaking-tastic. I mean, having the black in there just makes that deck, like,
Yeah, I mean,
insane,
like,
man.
because then you can go into because the black is like for mystical teachings flashback, and then
Yeah, being
also
able to actually play Mystical Teachings in a super competitive deck, like,
yeah, the black also allows
ugh,
you to flashback lingering souls, so you also have
sure.
lingering souls to do stuff with.
Yeah.
Um,
You have so many
it's
ways to
just
win. Yeah.
yeah, it's just like, and then like when you go into the sideboard, there's like other things in there. Like there was even a one of Baneslayer in the sideboard, which I was just like, what?
That's
This is
super
weird. I
silly.
didn't see
Yeah.
that. Like, and I saw it. I saw him win a game with bringing out Gideon Jura, just like literally using him to win the game.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah,
Going deep on that one. That's
yeah. I mean, it's just like it was an overall sound deck. There was also a one of Sphinx's Revelation. And I thought I'd never see that card again, but
yeah.
lo and behold, here it is, right here in Modern. And I'm just like, oh god, all gonna die.
Draw some cards, gain some life,
But
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, we'll get to the deck that won. Gerard Fabiano, props to him. I was rooting for him the
Yeah.
entire time. I mean,
Gerard has been on this like Sultai in all formats kick for the last 3 months.
and he's been doing perfectly fine with it.
I
I
mean,
mean,
that's
like,
just this guy. This was the guy that was first picking Rakshasa's Secrets in Triple Cons drafts, by the way. He is like obsessed with the idea of these delve cards and getting card advantage, which I think is super fascinating.
yeah, it's amazing. I mean, like he's like he brings it. He just like goes into Sultai, and like you think he'd have like all like good Sultai creatures, and then out of nowhere he just goes and slaps in Thragtusk and Ashiok, and he's just like,
Yeah.
let's do this.
I mean, this is the guy, and I have, nothing but respect for him because he's doing the math in his head, looking at all these decks, right? And then realizing that the way to win in all of these formats, right? And this is Magic, right? This is Magic 101. The way to win is to essentially cast more spells than your opponent, right? And to have more cards in your hand, having drawn more cards, having essentially gained more life, forcing them to play more cards. Just the idea of card advantage in general, period,
Yeah.
is his thing, and I love it. I think that's such a fantastic
I,
idea.
I, I love his one of sideboard card that if it hits, it honestly just shuts down blue red twin 100%, and it's Knight of Souls Betrayal.
All creatures get -1. Oh, so they can't Pestermite you out. They have to
So
land an Exarch.
Pestermite dies
Yeah.
just right off the bat, and then Deceiver Exarch is a 0/3.
Oh, that's the cutest thing.
Like, hey, you're slapping me with 0/3s. I really don't care. And I just love how he continues to bring Feed the Clans into every
Every
sideboard
deck,
he has.
every format, every deck. He is in
Yeah,
love with that card. Yeah.
yeah. It's just like, I mean, like honestly, it's not a bad card. I mean, like if he has a Tarmogoyf or a Thragtusk or even his two of Tassigers,
Yeah.
he's just like boom, Feed the Clans. Game
That's
10
what I'm
life.
saying though. Like cards like Feed the Clan, the only reason they're good in decks like this is because A, you're generating so much card advantage. B, you're getting rid of so many of their cards early, right? That they have to essentially draw like 2 cards at a time if they want to outrace you gaining 2 life, right? So Feed the Clans essentially in the middle to late game becomes a 2-for-1,
Yeah,
and it's so difficult to outrace. Like you have to be outdrawing Gerard at that point. Again, about 2-for-1 as far as the math goes to beat him. And like Feed the Clans, It's,
And
forcing them to
it's
draw 2 cards is fantastic. Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, and then the one of compulsive research. I mean, that's always like. I mean, like you're just like, why is that just a one of like? And it just draws him 3 cards, and he'll just pitch a land.
Yeah, in the
I mean,
late game, when you don't need lands anymore, the card's
yeah, it's just like
insane.
he'll be fine. Like I mean, when you mix Tassiger with blue, the ability of him becoming a 3 drop, I mean a 2 drop is
Yeah.
just that much higher. So you'd be like turn 1 Serum Visions fetch, turn 2 fetch, maybe cast another one,
Yeah.
or just like another 1 mana spell. So like a Thought Seize, and then boom, like Tassiger is just like a point away. I mean, you may have to Jataxian Probe. He didn't have that in his list.
Yeah.
But I was playing like the Grixis Delver, and I was able to drop Tasker on turn 2. But I mean, like Tasker coming down that early in that kind of game,
How do you beat that? Yeah.
it's already bigger than Tarmogoyf, for sure. Because when he came down, he delved away every single card that was in his graveyard. So Tarmogoyf probably got smaller at that point
Sure.
because there's maybe like 1 card in the graveyard at this time, and it's a land if you fetched.
Yeah. It's
I
insane.
mean, so you have like Path to Exile or a Maelstrom Pulse this guy, or he's just going to like beat your face for 4 the entire time.
Is there a reason decks like these don't play Liliana? Or, like, is there a reason he's playing like 1 Jace Architect of Thought in this particular build over a Liliana of the Veil?
I literally have no idea why he did not have Liliana of the Veil in his deck. I was expecting it to be in his deck.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, hey, like when you're playing Ashiok, do you really need Liliana of the Veil? She's kind of doing Ashiok is just doing the job of Liliana of the Veil in Overdrive in this kind of and what he's wanting to do. He's wanting to steal your Tarmogoyfs. Like he doesn't care if you throw away your like some of your cards. He just wants to rip your cards off your deck. Cast your Siege Rhinos with Ashiok. Cast your Tarmogoyfs. Cast your Snapcaster Mages, and even like Snapcaster, like Ashiok, bring in Snapcaster Mage, target one of my things, bring it back, use it. I mean, like, why not?
Yeah, that's
It's
insane.
just like Ashiok, like
I guess it is better value.
you wouldn't think of her seeing her in Modern, but Gerard kind of like put her on the table, and he goes
On
like,
the map,
like,
yeah.
yeah, he's just like put her on the map, and he's just like, this card like can see play in Modern, it's good.
It's crazy because that card was one of the when Theros first came out. That was a lot of people spec'd on it and bought a bunch of them at like $10, right? And forever, like for the longest time, it wasn't. It was below $10. It was like I think historical low in paper was about $7, right? But now Ashiok has seen this incredible resurgence with the blue-black control archetype, and now seeing as much play as it has in Modern. That's an $18 card now. I kind of wish I would have bought in at 7. I didn't foresee it being as good as it is. And a deck like this essentially had to be made for it to get where it is. So I don't think I being the player I am would have been able to see that coming. But still, it's like, oh my goodness. Congrats to the people who had piles of these. That they were getting at $7 because it's easily a $20 planeswalker. I mean, it is. So
Yeah.
awesome.
All right. Yeah, man. It's just like it's all around good showing of everything.
Yeah, I thought it was a really cool tournament. I'm glad Star City is essentially keeping Modern alive because you and I had talked about it. Nick and I talked about it last time, but I've talked, just amongst ourselves about it. I mean, Wizards just isn't really supporting Modern anymore, other than a couple GPs, and they weren't even going to do it as a Pro Tour. So, congrats to Star City for keeping the dream alive.
It's the first ever open they've had for Modern. So
yeah, I mean, they know they're such a good business though. They know when there's a void, and they know that they have the money and the resources to fill that void and to make quite a killing off of it. So good on them for just being good business owners. I mean, that's just why not be the one person to support and save a format that people want to play. They did it with Legacy. The crowd isn't as big, though, and it's not as easy to get in. But when they can get in with a crowd that has the resources and wants to play, that's just money in the bank. So more power to them.
Yeah. 100%
All right,
agree.
Jeremy, are you excited?
Oh, you already know it, man. I was like, oh, dude, hey, I heard Dragons of Tarkir was coming out. We got some spoilers.
I heard it is coming out at the end of this month, man. And Wizards of the Coast has been kind enough to offer the entire community a handful of spoilers for the new set Dragons of Tarkir that's coming out, like I said, at the end of this month. So I want to explain essentially what Dragons of Tarkir is a little bit before we look through these picks that the wonderful guys at Team BetterMagic have given us to go through. So essentially what's going on with Dragons of Tarkir is there was a world called Tarkir, and in that world dragons did not exist, and there were these warring clans that represented the wedges of magic, and they were fighting each other, and that was essentially their world. That's all they knew for essentially 1,200 years, right? So the planeswalker Sarkhan Vol, his name is Vol. He calls himself Sarkhan because he thinks he's the best Khan ever of all time and is king of the world. Says, whoa, I'm going to go back to the time when Ugin, the crazy other planeswalker, spirit dragon, whatever, dies because the main antagonist of the Magic of the Gathering multiverse, Nicol Bolas, comes and kills him. So Sarkhan Vol goes back 1,200 years, says, no, this isn't okay. I'm going to save you, Ugin. Nicol Bolas gets away. Sarkhan saves him. Sarkhan disappears into the timeline, pulls a Marty McFly, and starts disappearing. And Ugin is preserved. Dragons are saved on Tarkir. Fast forward 1,200 years. The dragons did not die off, so they took over the clans, kicked out the third enemy color from each of those clans, and now the clans are just dragon broods that are allied colors of Magic.
I mean, not only did they die off, when Ugin went into his cocoon to heal, they started like spitting out, the Dragon Tempest started spitting out even more and more and more. And just then they just pretty much overran the con.
Right, yeah, so the magic was no longer in balance, because Ugin was the big giant, granddaddy of dragons, keeping them in check so the dragons and humans could live together. But now dragons were like, oh, well, we're super powerful and there's tons of us, so we're going to force these humans into submission and take over these clans. So now, essentially, what we get is we got the big set that was Khans of Tarkir. We got a small set that was that weird kind of flashback, 1,200 years mini set. And now we are 1,200 years back into the future, where dragons are, again, the supreme rulers. And we have a large set. And in this large set, there are 264 new Magic cards for us to play with and for us to draft backwards with that Fate Reforged set. So like I said, Wizards has been kind enough to, for the past week and a half, share with us some really cool spoilers from this very exciting upcoming set. So you ready to rock through these?
Let's do it, man.
Okay, so what we've done at Team BetterMagic is we asked all our team members to give us one card that they wanted us to help kind of spoil and review and talk about on this podcast with you all. So what we're going to do is Jeremy and I are going to go through this list. We'll talk a little bit about what we think about these cards from a limited perspective, what we think about them from a constructed perspective, and if there's any financially kind of relevant information looking ahead with these cards, that's something we absolutely want to provide you as well. So let's just dive head first into this, Jeremy.
Let's do it, man.
All right, man. So the first card that I chose that I really like a lot, that I think is actually insane, is the card Stratus Dancer. He's a Jinn monk from the Jeskai clan of monks who make all of their cool decisions in their hilltop monasteries.
Hey, man, Jeskai does not exist anymore. Sir.
That's true. So the Jeskai clan is no longer, because they have renounced their red color out of their blue, white, and red clan that they were in a different timeline. Now they're simply just blue and white now that they follow the Dragon Lord Ojutai, who teaches them.
I believe they're just called, I don't even know. It's just like Ojutai's clan. That's literally what it's good is.
Yeah, exactly. And so like I said, now they follow the teachings of the blue-white dragon, their blue-white clan. But so Stratus Dancer is a Jinn monk, one colorless, one blue. It's a rare. It's a 2/1 with flying. Now, Stratus Dancer also has the ability, the new keyword Megamorph, which is a new ability that is being introduced in Dragons of Tarkir. What Megamorph says is it acts a lot like regular morph. So it says you may cast this card face down as a 2/2 creature for 3 colorless mana. Turn it face up at any time for its Megamorph cost, and you put a 1/1 counter on it. So what Morph did was just put things down as 2/2s. For 3 mana, you can flip them up. Usually they had some sort of sweet ability. Megamorph, you can flip them up, and not only do they just flip up and become whatever creature they are, they also get a +1/+1 counter, which can make them extremely viable in combat and able to kind of go toe to toe a lot more effectively than morphs did most of the time. So like I said, this guy's a flying 2/1. Its Megamorph cost is a colorless mana and a blue mana, and so essentially if you flip it up for Megamorph, it becomes a 3/2 flyer, which is a pretty darn good deal. Right, in limited, I'm all about 3/2 flyers for essentially a 2 mana investment, which is insanity. But he also has a catch. There's a catch. There's a caveat. When Stratus Dancer's turn face up, counter target instant or sorcery spell. Right? This card is insane. So on turn 3, I get to cast it face down as a 2/2. That's not super exciting. But for the rest of the game, I get to manipulate and maneuver my mana in such a way that at any time I want to flip this card up for a colorless and a blue, I get to A, blank their removal instant or sorcery that they were going to play to kill my next best creature, or maybe this guy. Right? I blank it completely, and I'm left with a 3/2 flyer in the air. I think this card's insane in limited. Like, this card is absolutely ridiculous. What do you think?
I agree with you. I mean, like, it's... 3/2 flyer, counter a spell, and then just you can just beat face with
Just
it
attack,
after that.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's evasion. It's got the negate on a stick, pretty much.
Yeah.
I also believe that it could probably see some play in standard. I mean, I've had like a friend saying something about like he may try this out. I'm just like, go for it, man. It's just like, it seems like a sweet card. It gives you a creature to beat them down with after you counter a spell. I mean, like, why not?
Yeah. The only thing that's interesting about this kind of card, so I really like 2 mana creatures that do stuff. You know what I mean? Like 2 mana rares that do stuff are the kind of cards that end up being, Snapcaster Mages, that end up being Eidolon of the Great Revels, that end up being somewhat close to like Noble Hierarchs. You know what I mean? Like this card does stuff. The only downside though is if you, which I think this could actually tussle in those formats. I really do. The only reason that that it's less likely to be as good in those formats is because it would be like the only morph creature. You know what I mean? Like you play this card down as a morph, like they immediately know that it's this guy. So there's this weird amount of information that you give away just because of that.
Well, so here's the thing. If they let you untap with it, now they know that you have a negate, so they have to play around that negate. I mean, like either they answer it or they don't.
Yeah,
totally. It's just that simple. Because if you untap with it, then it becomes a negate at any time you want to flip it up for 2.
Yeah. Do you think though in Modern that you can spend your 3rd turn playing a morph?
Oh, this guy would never see Modern play.
You know what I mean though?
Like this guy is like 100% not on Snapcaster level ever.
Yeah, totally. Right.
Hey, one question for you.
Yeah.
Would you say this what he's wearing? Would you say it's either is it black or?
I think it's a girl, by the way. Now that I'm looking at it.
You think it's black and blue or gold or white?
Okay. A, it's not a dress. B, it's definitely blue and white.
Okay.
Yeah, and I
so
think
you're saying it's
girl.
gold and white?
It's not gold and white. She has a golden armband, and she's blue, and the breastplate is blue.
You admit that there's gold?
Yes, that's a golden armband. She has 2 golden sides. Yes.
I'm sorry, I just had to troll you on this one.
You're ridiculous, man. You're a ridiculous human being. All right, so we're done with that one. Okay. Okay, now let's go on. Oh, should we save this one for last, Jeremy? Because it's
save that one for last.
All right, we'll save it for last, but I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. Let's talk about Thunder Break Regent. This card's awesome. I like this card a lot.
I love this card so much. As soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, Ash Cloud Phoenix, you're out of here.
We're done.
Playing Thunder Break Regent." Yeah. Just 100%. This card, I don't think it's 100% better, just because it can't be bought back.
Okay, sure.
Because it can't come back from death. But at the same time, killing it bolts your opponent. And like the difference between this guy and Ash Cloud Phoenix is Ash Cloud Phoenix doesn't dodge the stuff that the Thunderbreak region does. It doesn't dodge Vile Bite, Drown in Sorrow, Lightning Strike, Wild Slash, Magma Spray, Anger of the Gods.
Yeah.
Any other card you want to name that can kill an Ash Cloud Phoenix that doesn't kill Thunderbreak region. Thunderbreak region only dies to a certain handful of cards, and when they use that card, which maybe they'll be tapping out to do it, they're getting bolted in the face at the same time.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
You and I had this discussion before. Oh, can you actually read what it does? I'm going to let you read this one.
Yeah, I can do that. It is a 4/4 flyer for 4, double red, and 2 colorless. Flying, whenever a dragon you control becomes a target of a spell or ability and opponent controls, Thunderbreak region deals 3 damage to that player.
Insane.
So not on top of him being targeted by a spell, any other dragon that's targeted by a spell, this guy will deal 3 damage straight to the face.
Yeah, this card
your
is
opponent.
crazy. I mean, we had the discussion like, would you play a card that says, 2 colorless, 2 red, target opponent discards a card and takes 3 damage
Yeah.
at sorcery speed?
Yep. 100%.
Yeah, I think that's pretty darn good. Yeah, I think this card's fantastic. And if they don't have an answer, they're just getting attacked,
Yeah.
which makes it infinitely better.
So I mean, because the guy I want to throw this in is my Timur aggro deck, and taking place of Phoenix, it's just like this guy is like the top of my curve in that deck.
Yeah.
So most of the time he's coming in beating for more than sorry. They're getting beat for more before this guy comes down. So like they're my Frostwalkers, Savage Knuckleblade, all that stuff.
Yeah, card's fantastic. Before we move on, though, I do want to make a note that again, the Gottlieb's article, if you go to Daily MTG, one of the other things that was mentioned was this set. I mean, he says it brilliantly. He's like, first we had to make a set about dragons. Then we had to make a set about dragons that had a ton of dragons. Then we had to add some more dragons. And, that wasn't enough, so we also added some more dragons. So this set literally has the most dragons per as fan. So when you open up a pack, you'll see more dragons than you ever had before in the history of Magic, and it's going to be actually pretty overwhelming. So just know that Thunderbreak region is an amazing dragon, but there is a lot of amazing dragons in this set, and they're actually playable. Because most of the time, for the last 20 years, when we've got a dragon, it's basically unplayable because it's big and dorky and huge and does some crazy thing, but it's just way outside of any sort of reasonable casting cost, which will not be the case in this format, and that excites me. That is pretty cool to not have casual only dragons.
Getting more than one playable dragon in a set, that's amazing.
It's fan-frickin-tastic.
So far, from what I've seen, there's been like 2 playable dragons, which is twice as much as a set.
As regular, yeah.
So.
All right, so let's go through this next one. Our buddy Andrew on Team BetterMagic, who is another limited expert. You can watch him drafting. Sometimes he'll have some videos up on our YouTube stream soon. Dragon Fodder, which is a card that was originally released in, I want to say, Shards of Alara.
Yeah.
And what it does is at sorcery speed, 1 colorless, 1 red, put 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens onto the battlefield. How do you feel about this card?
Limited wise, it's good. I mean, constructed wise, it's in this format with Stoke the Flames, it's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all around good card. I mean, like, you would never think something that makes 2 1/1 goblins be that good, but I mean, like, for right now, what's going on in this constructed format, it's amazing. And then limited, I mean, like, it just makes 2 1/1s.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically playing a grizzly bear with a little bit more versatility. So.
Yeah, I mean, like you also have the ability of Warflare, or if they print like some other kind of anthem effect. So.
Yeah, it's exponentially better than a grizzly bear. So no, I think it's a very interesting card, and there'll probably be some other, interesting mechanics. You can exploit one of these. You know what I mean? Like you can sacrifice one of these stupid little tokens, and which is a mechanic we'll get to. So I'm not gonna spoil that for you guys quite yet.
It's pretty good.
Okay, let's talk about one of these other ones that actually was super exciting. So we got one card out of a new cycle that's coming out. So a cycle of cards in Magic is basically where they all do essentially the same thing at close mana costs, but they represent the different colors of Magic in doing so. So um, they spoiled the card Ojutai's Command, which is a sort of a Khans of Tarkir take on the command cycle from Lorwyn, which were cards that had 4 different modes. There were around 4, 5, 6 mana at sorcery speed, except for Cryptic Command, I think, was the only instant speed one.
Yeah.
And like I said, they're modal, so you had 4 different options on these cards to do all sorts of crazy things. And Ojutai's Command is the one from, Jeremy and I were just talking about the Ojutai clan. So it is blue and white, and it lets you do some silly stuff if I can find it. Here it is, yeah. So what it says is Ojutai's Command says 2 colorless, a white and a blue at instant speed. It's a rare. Choose 2. So you can either return target creature card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, or you can gain 4 life, or you can counter target creature spell, or you can draw a card. How do you feel about this card, Jeremy?
For what's going on in this constructed format,
Yeah, man.
it's good. It's a creature-heavy format, so the counter target creature spell is relevant. Drawing a card, always relevant.
Yeah.
Red-white and aggro decks are everywhere, so gaining 4 life is always good. The reanimate target creature with 2 or less, not as relevant in not as relevant in standard as it would be in modern.
Okay, sure, interesting, yeah.
And then,
yeah, there are a lot of crazy targets. I was just talking about that Stratus Dancer, the fact that just good, 2 mana creatures that do stuff are really good in those Eterna formats. And
if you're in limited and you get both of these, kudos on you, man.
Well, that's extremely good. I mean, this card's interesting and limited. I don't know how great it is. At 4 mana we have stuff that brings mana cost 2 or less back to the battlefield in a timely horde bait, so I guess it replaces that at instant speed. I don't know. That's not super exciting. And gaining 4 life isn't super exciting. But countering a creature spell,
countering a spell and drawing a card is it can be the deciding factor of winning a limited game or not.
I mean, you basically always play Essence Scatter when it's in a limited format, and that targets counters a target creature spell for 2 mana, and getting to draw a card on top of that is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, and then the gaining the life is never a bad thing as well. If you need to
sure.
gain life and then draw a card.
Yeah, the incidental life gain can be very relevant. Again, we'll have to see how the Dragons limited format pans out, but I can see this card being probably a pack one, pick one.
Yeah, I mean, we also have 4 more to go, so I mean, they've only gave us 1 so far, so
yeah, there are 5.
How the other 4 pan out, it will be we'll find out.
It'll be interesting. All right, so let's talk about. I think here's a limited pick that's kind of limited only, but it's a really cool card. It's going to be the game day promo, I want to say. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody will get this one.
Yeah, Scaleguard Sentinels. So Scaleguard Sentinels is a green human soldier for a green and a green, so 2 mana. It's a 2/3, which is very, very good, which makes sense, though. Usually when we have these cards that are double green, which is pretty mana restrictive, they're usually 3/3s. I think we've even seen a 4/4 for that much mana. So what it says is, as an additional cost to cast Scaleguard Sentinels, you may reveal a dragon card from your hand. And Scaleguard Sentinels enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it, so it becomes a 3/4 if you revealed a dragon card or controlled a dragon as you cost Scaleguard Sentinels. So in limited, this card is just gravy, man. This card is nothing but upside if you're playing green in your deck. This card's crazy. You're going to be drafting tons of dragons. No question. That is what you are going to be doing in Dragons of Tarkir. The amount of times I'm assuming that this guy is a 3/4 is going to be, off the hook. And he's not a card that suffers when drawn in the late game. Because drawn in the late game and you have a dragon on board that's really helping you kind of hold the ground and you just need to play a creature or 2, he slams down as a 3/4. For 2 mana, which leaves more mana open up to do other things and hold back tricks and hold back ways to keep your guys safe, is really, really good. So I'm super stoked to be drafting this card very highly. So, what about constructed though?
No way, Jose.
You don't think so? You don't think a 3/4 for 2?
I mean, the double green's hard to swing by.
Okay, sure.
Depending on depending on what kind of deck you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I mean, like I guess if you have like a Mystic into another land, like yeah, you got there. But at the same, I just feel like the double green's hard for this to come by.
Okay.
Like but limited. I mean, like obviously, if you have the double green and limited, that's amazing. That's like my only that's the only thing that holds me back on this card. Don't get me wrong. Like a 3/4 for 2 is amazing, but the double green sometimes could be like the downfall of you casting this card.
Yeah, I can understand that. The number of times it just gets stranded in your hand because you're trying to do other things that are probably a little more relevant. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Oh, and something we didn't talk about was kind of the financial value of some of these cards. I don't think we've hit anything that's that big of a deal yet. I know Ojutai's Command is something that is pre-selling on Star City Games at about $6. That means in reality it's probably $4.50 to $5. I'll probably be trading into those at the pre-release. I think the card is worth picking up a couple copies of. But a card like Stratus Dancer also is $2. That might also be one that I would pick up a handful of if you get the chance to trade into them. If people don't want them, I would keep my eye on those. The others not as much, but those two for sure. Keep your eye on. Okay, so let's talk about another. So that the Thunderbreak region that we talked about a little bit earlier is actually part of a cycle of regions, one for each of the colors of mana, as far as I can tell. They haven't released all of them yet, but there is a green one, a red one, a black one, and a white one. So one of the picks from our team was to talk about Sunscorch Regent, which is the white regent in this dragon cycle. It is 3 colorless mana, a white and a white, so it's 5 converted mana. It's a dragon. It's a 4/3 with flying, and it says whenever an opponent casts a spell, any spell, put a 1/1 counter on Sunscorch Regent, and you gain 1 life. That sounds crazy.
It really, I mean, I first kind of just glanced over this guy, and I thought it was like when you cast like an instant or sorcery. But when I saw spell, I was like, whoa, that's kind of that's pretty strong. And then on top of it, you just get the 1 incidental life gain, which is kind of weird.
It is super weird. Yeah, I don't
hey,
know.
You gain 1 life. Yeah.
You play spell, yes, I gain a life. Like it's really weird.
It's like they have Soldier of Pantheon in the Thesaurus. So I was just like, it's kind of like Soldier of Pantheon, but at the same time, it's not.
Right.
This guy is like on a completely better body. It's just like it obviously passes the bolt test because as soon as they cast the spell, it's like, oh, I'm a 5/4. Your bolt just kind of just bounce off.
Yeah, so that's super interesting. So the only way to remove this guy is like hard removal or like a throttle, I guess, but a throttle effect. But
yeah,
that's it.
Like, dude's like amazing and limited. Like not much gets him. And also you have to think about this. Smite the Monstrous is leaving with Khans of Tarkir, so
yeah.
There's also
throttle. Yeah, so the only thing that gets him is like Reach of Shadows or something.
Yeah, I mean they may print something else. They're probably going to print something else to kind of just hold him back. Yeah. But at the same time, I mean like this guy's a limited bomb.
Yeah, like, limited all-star. Yeah, I'm taking this guy all day.
Like if this guy doesn't get like an A+ on like some limited resources or anything else, I would be kind of like. I'd kind of like look at them like with my head cocked and be like, really? I mean, out of all the people, I feel like you guys would have said this card's amazing. It's like I don't see how it doesn't win a game. Like if you draw this guy late in the game, you're just like, oh, slam him down.
Yeah.
You gain me a life from now on when you cast a spell, and my guy just gets bigger.
Yeah, this card's insane. I really like it a lot.
Like I can even like, it's hard for it to be played and constructed just because Stormbreath Dragon just looks at it and laughs.
Until Stormbreath Dragon rotates.
Yeah, Stormbreath Dragon's not that far from rotating, which, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody will be thankful for that, but, I mean, Hero's Downfall also leaves, so it kind of sucks. But this guy is, like, he could see constructed play. Like, I could see, like, a sort of, like, an Abzan deck, or maybe even a Bant deck. Who knows? This is, like, so many possibilities.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just, like, this guy is ridiculous.
Yeah,
Guy can just win you the game on his own if you can protect him. Like, oh, they'll say they'll try and kill him. You counter it. Congrats, my guy is now bigger, and you failed to kill my guy.
Yeah. Insane. I think this is one to look out for. Yeah. Card is very good. It's not mythic, so there'll be a lot of them open, but look out
Yeah.
for it for sure. Cool.
Pack up the limited for days.
Okay, so we have 3 more here. There's some exciting ones coming up. Let's
We have
talk about
4.
Silumgar's. No, we have 3 left.
No, you're missing the one that we passed.
Oh no, I didn't pass any.
Well,
Oh
okay,
yeah, we have 4 more. Oh no, Jeremy, it's gonna be so exciting. Okay, I forgot about that one. That's so exciting. Okay, let's talk about Silumgar's Assassin. This card is pretty good, dude.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's really good. I mean, like, the play level on both constructed and limited is very high. I mean,
Yeah.
just like okay, so it's a human assassin, cost 1 black, 1 colorless. It's a 2/1. Creatures with power greater than Silumgar Assassin. Assassin's power can't block it. It has a Megamorph for 3, so you can unflip it for 2 colorless and a black. And obviously it would get a 1/1 counter. And then when Silumgar's Assassin is turned face up, destroy target creature with power 3 or less than 3 or less than
Unconditionally.
Yeah.
Unconditionally.
Like, and then at the same time he'll kill their guy, and then he will mostly go under their big guys. Like, you kill the guy that is holding you back from attacking with him.
Yeah.
And then you just go under the big guys.
Yeah, I think this card is absolute insanity. Yeah.
And then this guy also, in Standard, thinking of that right now, kills Courser of Crufix, kills Wingmate Rock, kills Goblin Rabblemaster. It just kills, like, literally everything except Siege Rhino, Stormbreath Dragon.
And then starts attacking.
Yeah. Also, no, it does not kill Silumgar. Oh, it kills the new Silumgar. It kills the new Silumgar, but does not kill the much better Silumgar.
Right, because you have to target it, yeah.
Yeah, and the other one's Hexproof, and this one's
That's
not.
too bad. This card's insane, though. This card just keeps attacking.
Over all those years, he became fat and lazy.
He did. That's literally what happened. They could target him. Well, because they know where he lives now.
Well, I mean, and then also, oh yeah, because he was not the drifting D.
Yeah, he wasn't. He's no longer drifting. He's chilling in the palace, man.
With Tasker as a necklace.
It's true.
Yeah.
Oh, this card's awesome, though. I'm stoked for limited. This is the first pick. I mean, you just unconditionally kill stuff. Constructed, I want to see it played. I mean, I'm very excited.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think he's a really good card.
All right. We've got 3 mythics here that we're going to talk about in a row. The first one from being Sidisi, the undead
She's the only
vizier.
rare.
She's only a rare? Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yep.
my goodness. So she's been demoted from her mythic status because she's dead now. She is a zombie.
She got really demoted.
Yeah.
First, is not the con. Second, she's dead.
She's dead. So she's Sidisi. This Sidisi is all black now. So it's 3 colorless, a black and a black. Legendary creature, zombie Naga. So this is Sidisi, the undead vizier. She has she's a 4/6 on the ground with death touch, and the new keyword exploit. Exploit says when this creature enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature. So if you do that, when Sidisi Undead Vizier exploits a creature, so when you sacrifice one, you may search your library for a card, any card, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. How do you feel about this 5-drop?
Both. I mean, no. It will. I mean, honestly, constructed. I don't see it seeing any play, just because. I mean, like the deck that she's in the color with, I don't see you really sacrificing anything to do anything with her. But
Sure.
limited, say you just have like a emissary or a token sitting around, you just sack this. You just play her, sacrifice it, go get another one of your bombs.
Oh, yeah.
That seems really ridiculous. And then, I mean, like, I know we don't talk about Commander really much, but I'm definitely throwing this into my Commander
I
deck.
think this card's very good in any Commander deck that plays black, like, and can afford to just lose some guys, or any guy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's
You upgrade
ridiculous.
your essentially in limited you're upgrading your creature that's no longer relevant, and in EDH there are ways to just sacrifice things and actually get value, and then you get to search your card for anything, and which is insane. So in both limited and EDH, the ability to tutor for your best cards, other than drawing cards, is basically the best thing you can do. And yeah, this card's just insane. This card's pack one, pick one every single day of the week. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, even if you don't exploit, she's a 4/6 death touch.
Yeah.
So she's
which is crazy for 5 mana. Yeah,
well, yeah, because if you think about it, she's a strictly better shambling attendant.
totally. Oh yeah, yeah, and holds the ground almost as well as a mammoth used to. I mean, she's freaking tastic. She's rare too,
Yeah, I
so you
mean,
won't see her that
like
often.
I
But
mean, dragons obviously go over her, but I mean,
yeah,
she's coming on the ground for 4, and they got to have something to stop her, or she's going to be beaten for 4 every single time because she has death touch.
yeah. Well, I love this card. Card's fantastic. Okay, now we're down to 2. Like I misspoke before, but now we definitely have 2 mythics left. Let's talk about the first one. So the first one is Kolagon, the Dragon Lord. So Dragon Lord Kolagon. So what has happened is these dragons have had 1,200 years to get big and fat and powerful and mighty and rule over a bunch of humans, and they've upgraded themselves from rares to mythics. So Kolagon has undergone the exact same fate. He is now 6 mana, 4 colorless, a black and a red for a legendary creature, Elder Dragon. He's no longer just a dragon. He has flying and haste. Is a 6/5 flyer with haste. Other creatures you control have haste. And whenever an opponent casts a creature or planeswalker spell with the same name as a card in their graveyard, that player loses 10 life. They lose 50% of their starting life total. What do you think about this card?
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
100% ridiculous.
I think this card's crazy, yeah. No joke.
I mean, I've been going on about how this could see playing constructed. I mean, we're in a creature-heavy format. Going up against a deck, you just kill it, and then they're struggling to get something like a creature on the board because you're beating him in the face.
Yeah.
And so Kolagon's just sitting on the board, and they're like, say they're at like exactly 10 life. We're just gonna use this scenario. They're exactly 10 life. They have a Seeker of the Way on the board, but they need to put the Seeker of the Way on the board to survive, because you're gonna like Alpha Strike them next turn.
Yeah.
But they also have a Seeker of the Way in the graveyard because you killed one earlier. Now they can't play it at all.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're just like Kolagon can shut somebody out depending on how close of life total you get them to, because they can't cast a creature that's already in their graveyard, and they can't cast a planeswalker that's already in the graveyard saying if you killed them, because, I mean, if Kolagon comes down and there's a planeswalker on the board, Kolagon's mostly going to kill that planeswalker because she's coming in for 6.
Yeah, that is true. So the only thing that worries me about this card is, you have to get to 6, right? And then, but when you get that, I mean, Kolagon gets to attack, which is fan-freaking-tastic, but to have the other ability matter, you also had to have spent some resources or done some trading to get stuff into their graveyard, I guess. You know what I mean? And then, like, the Kolagon has to survive any sort of hard removal they have.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, triple colors, it still exists in Constructed.
Yeah.
Just because you still have Khans of Tarkir. Limited-wise, I don't believe the second effect will ever come into play unless they drafted, like, multiples of a single card.
Yeah, it'd be basically impossible, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but it's saying, like, unless they got a whole bunch of multiples in their one Fate Reforged pack.
Yeah.
This creature literally just says, I'm a 6/5 with flying haste, and I can give other creatures haste as well.
That's imminently playable, yeah.
But that's a 100% just a limited bomb still. Like, something that swings in for 5 instantly, and then also can let something else come in and have haste as well.
Insane.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Card's great.
Like,
but,
limited,
I mean,
limited third
know,
ability doesn't happen, but constructed third ability could possibly play a role.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if it comes into the new meta. I'll be interested.
I would be too. I mean, I could try it as well if I wanted to.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, dude.
All
right, we saved the best for last. I know you're pretty excited in very
I've been
interesting ways.
My entire life.
So the story has leaked. There were rumblings throughout the internet about the fate of Narset, who was an enlightened master, who used to be the Khan of the Jeskai clan. In this new altered reality, in this new timeline, what was her fate, right? What happened to Narset? In Khans of Tarkir, she was actually killed by the Khan of the Mardu clan, Zergo Helm Smasher. However, his temper has been tempered in Dragons of Tarkir, and now he is simply a hand servant to the dragon Kolagon. So he has not had the ability in his lifetime to go kill Narset with his bare hands, but they've probably never even met. So in this timeline, Narset has had a lot less pressure on her to become a Khan, to study all, essentially an entire third color, right? The red color of magic. And in this timeline, Narset has ascended to become a planeswalker. In fact, she has transcended her worldly woes. She has thrown off the chains of simply living on one world and having to deal with that one world's problems. And now she can walk through the plains.
It just fills my heart with joy.
Yeah, it's a cool story. I think it's awesome that they've said, Sarkhan has so affected this timeline that a being that had the potential to become a planeswalker but didn't the first time around, because of the way events changed, her spark was able to ignite in this world, and that's super exciting. That's really cool. I think from
it's just like
a
it's
Vorthos,
very flavor story wise for sure.
Yeah, I mean, from Vorthos' standpoint, like, they couldn't have done anything cooler than that, so I'm happy with that. But the other thing is this card.
This card is ridiculous.
Jeremy, this card's insane, dude.
She is... I mean, I hate to be that guy that always says, like, oh, dude, this Planeswalker is like the best Planeswalker ever printed, but she is in the running for possibly being one of the best Planeswalkers ever printed.
I don't disagree with that. I think this card's insane. Do you want to read it for the kind?
Yeah, I'll read
listeners?
That for you guys. So Narset Transcendent, blue-white, 2 colorless, Planeswalker Narset, obviously. Okay, so her +1, she starts off at 6 loyalty.
6 loyalty.
For a
4
mana cost Planeswalker. Starts off at 6 loyalty. So her +1 is, look at the top card of your library. If it's a non-creature, non-land card, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. So think back to Domri Raid and Gatecrash. She's the opposite of Domri Raid. She goes and gets non-creature spells where Domri got creature spells. So you can think of her +1 as literally the opposite of Domri.
Right.
If anybody can just use that to correlate to that. So her -2 is when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell from your hand this turn, it gains Rebound, which that opens the possibility to millions and millions of things.
So Rebound is another keyword that they're actually, it's not a new one. We've seen it before in Zendikar, yeah. So what Rebound says is whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you may once it resolves, you may exile it and then cast it at the beginning of your next upkeep. So essentially, you get to cast whatever those spells are twice, if you so choose. You don't even have to sometimes. There's like 1% of the time where you actually wouldn't want to, but you do get the option. So
yeah, the second one's free. The first, when you cast it, you obviously have to cast it for its cost, but after the rebound happens, it's for free.
Yeah, it's insane.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. So this card, though.
Yeah, so and then her ultimate is just like the ultimate control killer. So -9, you get an emblem with your opponents can't cast non-creature spells.
It's so insane.
So your opponent who's playing a control deck who has 2 creatures in it,
the whole deck, yeah.
Mostly, they cannot cast anything else. Because Narset's just like, no, you're done playing the rest of this game.
Yeah.
We're just going to goldfish you until you concede.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you do have to get to 9, and she doesn't really protect herself, but...
4 turns later you can do it. But I mean, like, it depends on what kind of show you want to put her in. So you can put her in a blue-white control list, which, I mean, I've already heard people talking about it.
I think it's very good, yeah.
100% possible. Like, her -9 is literally a scoopable, like, it will cause a person to scoop.
This is gravy, man. Yeah, it's just icing on the cake.
Unless they're just like an actual, like, if they're like a deck that's like running a crap ton of spells, obviously they will probably scoop to that. But if it's a creature-based deck, like any aggro, stuff like that, they'll probably keep going. But at the same time, their deck is hindered. Because if you think about it, a lot of the aggro decks right now, they're backed up by like Corling Outburst, Stoke the Flames, all that stuff to kind of give their deck the extra push.
Yeah.
but she kind of just takes that all away at the same time.
Yeah.
But I mean, like yet again, you have to do it 4 times, and that against an aggro deck is a feat on its own. And
It's
if you can
rough.
protect her-
Yeah.
If you can protect her that long, like kudos on you for doing that. That's 100% good. I mean, like she has the ability to do it. Like her +1 is like really good for a control deck or any kind of deck that wants to play non-creature, non-land spells, because you just literally flip it up and you're just like, oh hey, I get this card. I mean, honestly, her +1 has the ability to give you another draw a turn. So
That's the thing, right? So do you not... Is this the kind of card, though, where, like, you don't play it on turn 4? Unless, for whatever reason, you've got a ton of ways to protect her? Like, you just played a bunch of creatures on turn 1, 2, and 3? Like, I guess...
So,
You know...
I mean, yeah, I can see what you're saying here. So, like, you're playing like you're a control deck. You want to play her, and I can see where you would want to protect her. But like, if you're a control deck, say you're blue-black and you have an Ashiok in your hand, that's the first thing you're jamming out on turn 3. And that when she activates, she goes up to 5 loyalty. Narset comes down a turn later, but she goes up to 7.
7, yeah.
But at the same time, depending on what colors you're playing in that deck, you've also probably countered something because she comes down a turn later instead of a turn earlier.
Yeah.
So you may have 3 mana open, you may not have 3 mana open.
Right.
So say they try to cast a 3-drop, you counter it, you pave the way for your Narset, you drop Narset, and then you start like working around Narset. Say they drop one thing down, you're just like, okay, that's fine, take care of it, still have Narset, mana open, and then you're ready to just fight off everything, and then use this Narset to do whatever you want, to rebound a Dig Through Time, rebound a Treasure Cruise, ult win the game, hopefully, because they can't cast half their deck.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, like, protecting her, she's one of those cards you want to protect. Like, how you want to protect an Ashiok, you never want her to die, because you always want that ability to get one of those creatures that you're exiling.
Right.
She's just a card you want to protect in general.
Right, and it's just all incremental card advantage. Like, literally,
Yeah, I
the
mean,
first one can draw you a card. Doesn't always, but it can draw you a card.
Yeah, I mean, like,
And the second one gives you another card.
people
essentially.
whipped off Domri, like, all the time. I mean, it was nothing big. Like, you got to look at the top card of your library. You knew it was coming. Like, some people have even been saying, like, oh, how Corsair and Domri were a pair. You can even do Corsair and Narset.
Yeah, I think that's totally fine, actually.
Yeah, I mean, like in a Bant mid-range Bant control deck, seeing how Abzan control is the thing now, and it's playing Corsairs, Rhinos, and Tassigers,
Right.
I don't see why Narset could be like that kind of deck as well with Corsair and some other cards that you still are undetermined.
I think this card's super good. I'm super excited we get to talk about it, and we get to see the rest of this format, shape up and see if it's any good. Yeah.
I almost just like left work because I was so happy.
Nice. I don't think your
Like,
bosses would be happy to know that.
I probably would have gotten in trouble for that, but I'm just like, hey,
Yeah.
we can do this. I don't
Card's
care.
awesome. Yeah. So one of the things, quick before we go here, this card, interestingly enough, before we've talked about the Jace tax. Yeah, essentially the Planeswalker Jace tax was one of the themes that we talked about in one of our earlier episodes. So Narset was a card that was pre-selling on Star City Games for $30, right? It sold out immediately. Went to $40, sold out immediately. It is now $50 on Star City Games. So for you, Jeremy, for someone who really does, build a lot of standard decks, is this a card? Like, what do you do to get this card in your hands so you can play around with it? Like, what makes sense? Is this price even right?
It'll obviously go down. Think about this.
Okay.
Sarkin was around 40 or 50
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
when he came out, and he's at 15 now. I mean, this Narset has the ability to go into all 3 formats,
Okay.
which is ridiculous. But at the same time, you don't know what's going to happen. People still got to test with it and everything.
Yeah.
Like, I won't. This card will stay at its price for what. It may
For
go down
longer?
like 10. It may go down like $10. It may stay around 40. It may be like a Nissa who stays at 40 for like too long of a time that it should have been there. Nissa stayed at 40 for like an infinite amount of time after her use was done. Like,
Totally,
people
yeah.
are like, okay, we kind of figured out this card's sideboard playable only at best. and
Yeah, well,
I'm not
people
gonna play
hate
it
getting
anymore.
burned too, right? So they don't want to lower the cost after having bought, a trillion. So
Yeah.
yeah, same
To
thing might
be
happen
honest,
here.
like if you rip the Narset, I cannot say either whether to hold on to it or get rid of it because the ability for this card to stretch into all three formats is there. It's there. You can see it broad as daylight.
Yeah,
Her abilities are just like modern and legacy are all pretty much spell oriented formats most of the time.
yeah,
Like just like Force of Will, Brainstorm, Ponder, Preordain, Serum Visions, Bolt, all this, everything,
yeah.
literally everything, most of the time. And her +1 is just what those decks want.
Sure.
And then also her -2, rebound their best spell. I
That
mean, like,
seems
why
really
not?
good. Yeah.
I mean, like, so I can't really predict how her price trend will go, or like if she'll stay or if she'll stay at what she's at right now, or will she go down, or even will she go up even more? Just because, like, if you think about it, the only three planeswalkers that have made it to all three formats: Elspeth Knight Errant, Jace the Mind Sculptor,
Oh yeah.
and Liliana the Veil. And look at all their prices right now.
Yeah, their money. Yeah.
Jace Mind Sculptor money. I don't know if Elspeth is kind of still around how what her money value used to be in time.
Yeah. She's still a
Uh,
$20 bill. I mean.
Yeah, I mean that's good. I mean,
Yeah.
like, hey, if Narset could go to $20 bills, I would be happy with that. Liliana Vale is like 80,
Yeah.
and she is like ridiculous. And I believe Narset is on her power level, maybe even higher, just because of how good Narset is. And she doesn't literally die the moment she comes out to a lightning bolt, which
That's true
Liliana
too.
mostly does.
Right. Fair enough. Okay, I'm excited. We're also going to see a Sarkin coming up, so that
Yeah,
is the other
Sarkin.
Planeswalker in this format. So be ready,
I kind
everyone.
of I kind of depicted. I mean, I kind of have it like pointed out that maybe Sarkin will probably come out next Wednesday with
Sure.
the next Uncharted Realms, so they can have his story along with it. Since they brought out Narset's story
Yeah.
on Wednesday,
And then we get to talk about it with you guys.
that's the plan.
That's going to be exciting.
100% the plan. I love spoilers. They make me so happy to play this
You're
game
like,
all the
this is my
time.
life. Yeah, I
It's
love it
like
too.
this is my life, and I live for this. I
I
live for
know.
spoilers.
I don't get it as excited as I used to because they're all just kind of dollar signs to me. But it's still pretty cool, especially when you see cards that are going to make some waves and be
But
financially relevant.
yeah, like the Narset.
Yeah, I mean, if I get an Arset though, I mean, I'm going to trade it in for store value so I can draft some more. Like for sure, that's absolutely what I'm
Don't
going to
trade
do.
it in
But
for store value, man. Give it to me.
yo, you want it? Yeah, okay, I'll trade it to you. That sounds good. I'm fine with that. That's cool.
I'm 100% fine with that.
Perfect.
Uh,
All right, guys. Thanks for sticking with us. This is kind of an extra long episode that you guys got this week because we wanted to make sure we got all of our team picks and you guys and talk about them together and with you guys and hopefully inform you a little bit about what's coming up. And hopefully, make sure you get out to your pre-release. Make sure to register as soon as you can because this is going to be an exciting set and an exciting sealed format. And we want you guys to have fun with all these cards the same as we do. So any last words for people, Jeremy, before we let them go here?
Narset.
Narset. That's what Jeremy says. Jeremy says to you, Narset, because she is fantastic. Give us some stories. If you open up an Narset in the coming weeks here, don't be afraid to share those awesome wins with us and those awesome rips. So again, thank you for listening, and we will talk to you all next time. But until then, don't forget to play better Magic.